Welcome to this explainer. I am just so thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at a role that is literally transforming how modern businesses grow and operate. We're talking about the rapidly emerging position of the Chief Revenue Officer, or CRO. Now, if you think this is just, another fancy title for someone who manages the sales team, well, think again. The modern CRO is a true business catalyst. They're this dynamic force responsible for bridging gaps, aligning teams, and just turbocharging growth. And because this is absolutely crucial, top executives are turning to specialized educational programs to truly master this role. So today, we're going to unpack exactly what this position entails, why top companies are frantically hiring for it, and the specific executive skills you need to master it.
Okay, let's dive into this with a fantastic quote straight from the Wharton Executive Education Program. They describe the role by saying, "Sometimes when I think about CRO, I think about the Chief Rebel Officer or Chief Revolutionary Officer." I absolutely love this framing. It signals right away that this isn't your standard play-it-safe corporate job. A CRO really has to be a bit of a rebel. They're responsible for so many different elements along the entire line of revenue and growth. They have to break down traditional silos, challenge the old ways of doing things, and literally revolutionize how an organization generates value.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Meet the Chief Rebel Officer. 2. 3 reasons to hire one. 3. The 4 pillars of growth. And 4. Leading the revenue revolution.
Let's kick things off with Section 1. Meet the Chief Rebel Officer. Redefining executive leadership. Modern business growth can be incredibly chaotic. You've often got different departments running in completely different directions, utilizing totally different data, and chasing completely different metrics. To survive this chaos, companies require a new kind of unifier at the executive level. And this brilliantly illustrates a really common misconception, confusing a chief sales officer with a chief revenue officer. But as the experts at Kaplan Executive Search point out, they are very, very different. A chief sales officer is focused squarely on the sales team. But a CRO? Well, a CRO is responsible for absolutely all the activities that bring revenue into your business. They look at the entire landscape, not just the close of a single deal. They're managing the complete life cycle of how money actually flows into the organization.
Moving on to Section 2, 3 reasons to hire one. The chaos unifier. So, why does a company desperately need this specific executive? Let's break down the exact reasons a CEO looks at their organization and realizes, okay, it's time to bring in a CRO. The very first and perhaps most critical reason is alignment. In so many companies, you just have these highly fragmented departments. Everyone's working incredibly hard, for sure, but they're completely out of sync.
Specifically, there are 4 main functions that bring in revenue, and they almost always end up in conflict. First up, you have revenue generation. This is your sales, business development, cold calling, prospecting, all that. Second is demand generation, which is essentially your marketing. Third is your go-to-market function, so the overarching strategy, your pricing models, how you work with channel partners to get your product into the customer's hands. And fourth is revenue operations, which covers the vital IT systems and processes required to grow. Now, if your sales, marketing, strategy, and operations are pointing fingers at each other, and let's be real, sales and marketing absolutely love to point fingers at each other, a CRO is the ultimate solution brought in to unify them all into one smooth, revenue-generating machine.
The second reason companies bring on a CRO is to insert a proven growth driver right into the leadership team. A successful CRO brings a very specific pedigree to the table. They usually have deep experience and a massive track record of driving growth, often having scaled fast-growing businesses or navigated the rapid complexities of tech companies. You're hiring them to inject that high-velocity expertise directly into your business's DNA.
And the third reason is to instill a holistic customer focus across the entire company. A great CRO pays deep attention to customer retention and success, but they do it across every single function of the business. They make sure that from marketing all the way to IT, the customer success is the ultimate driving metric.
Now, you might be looking at this role and thinking, wait a minute, doesn't a chief customer officer handle that? And yes, they do, but in a very different way. So the crucial point is that a chief customer officer is typically a frontline executive. You want them out there, face-to-face with your key clients. The CRO, on the other hand, integrates all the internal functions right behind the scenes. They ensure that the operations, marketing, and sales systems are structurally designed to actually deliver that customer success.
Section 3. The 4 pillars of growth. The blueprint. To handle this massive, complex job of aligning operations and driving growth, an executive needs some serious training.
Taking a dedicated Chief Revenue Officer executive program like the one at Wharton provides the ultimate educational playbook. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down into 4 distinct pillars you absolutely must master. Pillar 1 is growth strategy, focusing on corporate strategy and creating new value, which includes things like M&A. Pillar 2 is revenue management, looking at the nitty-gritty of pricing and demand. Pillar 3 is product management, figuring out how to build good products that meet customer needs agilely. And Pillar 4 is customer engagement, navigating technological disruption right along the customer journey.
Let's look a little closer at Pillar 2, revenue management. Because this proves the CRO role isn't just about high-level people skills and rallying the troops, it requires some serious analytical grit. Even if you aren't running the spreadsheets yourself every single day, a CRO must understand dynamic pricing, how to estimate demand, and exactly how to calculate a customer's willingness to pay. You need the strategic foresight to answer tough questions, like should the company actually limit the quantity produced of a particular product just to optimize pricing and revenue?
And jumping back to Pillar 1, growth strategy, a massive part of the CRO's mandate is scaling. Going from 0 to 100 as an organization is incredibly difficult. It is just full of hidden traps. A major benefit of the CRO program curriculum is that it gives you the exact frameworks to circumvent these hurdles, whether that's through organic corporate strategy or by knowing exactly when to acquire a new company, or, just as importantly, knowing when to let one go.
Finally, Pillars 3 and 4 bring everything back to the single most important element, the customer. A true CRO maintains a relentless customer mindset amidst constant technological chaos. Product management is all about building agile products based on actual, validated customer needs. And customer engagement? That's about looking at all the technological disruption happening in the market right now and asking, how can we use this to engage with our customers in the right way along their entire journey? It literally connects the product build directly back to the ultimate revenue goal.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, Leading the Revenue Revolution. Your next steps. We've explored the massive corporate need for alignment, and we've walked through the intense academic tools required to do the job. Now let's bring back that incredible rebel motif we started with. Mastering these 4 pillars, growth strategy, revenue management, product management, and customer engagement, does something really profound. It transforms you from a standard corporate executive into a revolutionary catalyst for your company. It allows you to carefully evaluate the strengths and limitations of different ways of growing and managing revenues, making you the undisputed engine of your organization's future. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought today. Look at your own organization. Are your sales, marketing, strategy, and operations currently pointing fingers and sitting in conflict? If they are, someone needs to step up and unite them. The blueprint is right here in this CRO executive program. So the only question left is, are you ready to become the chief revolutionary officer they so desperately need? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparks some serious curiosity for you, and I absolutely can't wait to explore more with you next time.